Alright, so Volskaya Industries defense starting. So from what I've seen, you guys obviously know what you're doing as far as teams go, so I'm not going to talk too much about team comp unless I see something that's really wrong, but I probably won't.
Do you play Junkrat? If they're on goats, I think
Skip ahead a bit.
you can play Mercy and pocket the
24 milliseconds.
35.
It's probably because we have more West Coast people because of spectate.
Are you on the West Coast right now?
Yeah, I'm holding
Are
you.
you bit guarding?
Call out what they have when you see it.
Digger? Digger.
They go.
They're going right,
I got more, I got more.
Back up.
Lucio one, Lucio one,
Nice,
Lucio one.
shoot. Just stay up. Rain, you can burn rain, can I?
Okay, so first of all in this first fight, I'm not sure where Widow went actually. Hold on, let me figure out where Widow went.
Back up.
Lucio one,
So
Lucio
Widow's
one.
up here.
Just
Widow just dropped down, and now Widow's on the top platform. Alright. So already I know it's not you, but for the Widow, I feel like she should have gone more onto the platform in the back right.
Back up.
Over here. Around here. And then eventually gone to the back right because I feel like it would just been more of a safe position, but that's her issue. Afterwards, we see that one of your teammates is calling out to focus the Reinhardt, while there's a Brigitte and a Lucio right next to the Reinhardt. So that Reinhardt is going to be receiving a lot of healing. And if you want to think about it this way, a tank's job is kind of to take damage. That's why it has a large HP pool. And the support's job is to make the damage they take, is to counter the damage that they take. So you should, in my opinion, be focusing the Lucio, who was playing extremely aggressively here. So move up a bit.
Rain, you can burn rain.
So here we have the Lucio right there and the Brigitte right there. Especially this Brigitte is really out of position. She is currently cornered by two people, so if you just collapsed on her, she would have died very easily. And then you could have swapped target to either Lucio or Reinhardt or the Zarya that I believe is also in here, but I'm not too sure. But as a good rule of thumb, you should always be focusing the supports when you don't know what to focus. And on top of that, just a little bit, the one who is calling out Ryan is... He calls that out a lot of times, so if he's your teammate, it's something to bring up with him, is to not cloud the communications very much, and to maybe only say it like 2-3 times. Like that, there is extra space for if any other information comes along that somebody else needs to give.
Rain, can I?
He's half. Diva's weak 2. She's on me in the back though.
I need heals really bad.
I'm healing you.
I'm gonna get a stick.
Point, down.
Something I'm noticing a lot with your Zarya play is that you really aren't right-clicking very much at all, which can be an issue. Because because they have a Brigitte, they have a Reinhardt, so eventually Brigitte is going to be giving armor to people. And if you know how armor works, if you don't know how armor works, I'll explain it real quick. If the damage you deal is less than 5, then the damage gets halved, and if it's more than like 20 or something like that, then it reduces 5 damage. So if you were to have really good tracking on this Reinhardt, you're effectively going to be dealing much less damage because every time your particle cannon gets a tick of damage, it gets reduced by 5 damage. Whereas if you use your right click on the Reinhardt, he's going to take out on there like 50 damage, but because of his armies, he's going to take 45. So by doing large bursts of damage with your bombs, rather than doing a continuous stream of damage with your beam, you're going to output more damage. On top of that, they're running kind of a goats comp, meaning that you're going to get a lot of splash damage, so you're going to get a lot of ultimate charge more quickly.
Sorry, one.
Alright, that's probably the end of the fight. Yeah, so right here, once again, your particle cannon, if you looked at the 2 seconds that you were on the Moira, she did not take a single bit of damage because she was just healing it back up with her right click. Whereas if you were right clicking at her feet and then punching her, and if you can get good at that little small combo, you'll be doing a lot more damage to individual targets.
It's okay, hold second point.
Alright, so what was good there though is that you didn't die immediately, you were the last to die, and it was a good death because you died on point, so that's alright.
Fishy, nice first pick.
Just like in training.
What are they gonna have? The rain used shadow, right? They might be close to grab here. I think
I
it's
want
gonna be
them
like
to
80 to
They're
grab.
in.
It's good that you're tracking ultimates.
What? Range
So
one,
once
range
again there, just right click and you should be doing more damage.
one, range one, range one, range, can I? Huge. They have better spawn,
Get this focus.
Coming.
Focus target. Focus Diva.
You got one diva. Oh, Briggs trap.
And obviously when the Reinhardt shattered, that was a good opportunity to be using your beam and not the bombs, so that was alright.
I'm coming on the point in a second. Touch.
I'm on tick.
I'm on the point.
Brigade on the front ground. Brigade. Brigade 1.
She's still one.
So these are much better comms. That guy's getting a lot of shatters. A wasted grav, but that's alright. Okay, your Junkrat saved it.
Just high on point. Did you use
Once
grab?
again
Did you
here,
use
if you're just right clicking and punching, you'll be
range
dealing
one,
more
range
damage to
one,
her.
Range one. Dead. Stagger brick.
There's no real point in trying to stagger her, just kill her.
She's getting hit.
Yeah, no, she got away
Just
then.
me on her.
Morris one.
So right here, you know that there are people right on the opposite side of this wall. So as you're walking away, just shoot some right clicks over there. Maybe you'll get a couple of lucky hits, get a couple of percentages of ult charge.
Okay, they still have a grab here. So I need to call this. We should play split.
Just let me.
Yeah, it should be
Let
just
me
right in
get
the
shot.
grab.
Yeah, that's good. Peeking around the corner like that is perfect.
Yeah, they have both ankles too.
Man, their team is really organized. Once again, she has armor there, meaning that you're going to be dealing a lot less damage to her because of the armor.
Huge.
Your Junkrat's popping off again.
Diva's trap top
Line on the right.
That's good.
Stagger.
Diva and stagger. Stagger.
Jump.
Oh my god, that's so unlucky.
I think Moira's still alone on the right somewhere, but didn't want to go off by myself.
Yeah.
I'm covering.
Yeah. And do you try to damage boost me as quick as you can, or so I can get tired quick? They're on soldier now. Or did they?
The top left. Junkrat's top left.
So if you want, what might be good for you is to get into a custom game with a friend on the enemy team, and just to test out the type of damage that you deal with different skills. So try having a 1v1 where you're using tracking, and then have a 1v1 where you're using the right click punch, and see if you're dealing more damage, and get comfortable with it, because it is typically more useful in that scenario.
Did they use shadow in the fight?
Yeah, they did.
They haven't
They-
grabbed
they
it.
got another
Oh,
one
they
now.
grabbed the fight before. They
Oh,
grabbed
shoot.
the fight. Can we push it?
Yeah, I'm pushing.
Tell me when you hammer, I'll try to blossom with you.
I can't really push that anymore. They have a Reaper also. They have a Reaper, so we gotta be careful. He teleported top right. Watch him for top right. Or come flanking from the right side, maybe.
So there, right before, you might have wanted to
I can't really push that anymore.
try and,
They have
right
a
here,
Reaper also. They
you
have
might
a
have wanted to
Reaper,
try
careful. He
to
teleported.
stay there a little bit longer, maybe try to get a fire strike out of the enemy Reinhardt and just absorb it with your shield, because that's 20% energy. Just to keep your energy up, but it's micromanagement of the play, so it's alright if you don't do that.
Teleported top right. Watch him for top right. Or come flanking from the right side, maybe.
Where are you stayed?
Reaper's right side somewhere. Valk when they push in, don't wait for us to get low.
I think they're going top left. Yeah, they are.
I'm close to shatter here. I'm trying to shatter early.
Yeah, call it, and I'll blossom with you.
I made you through the tire.
Oh my god, I'm sorry. That's my bad. I'm looking for it right now.
Oh no, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die.
Line if you can.
My bad, I should have blocked it.
So one other thing that I would suggest is to communicate to your team when you're going to use your bubble on them, and communicate how long until your next bubble. Because for example, if your Mercy was able to survive for another 4 or 5 seconds, and while she's reviving you bubble her, then you might have been able to turn the fight. But judging by the kill feed, I don't think it would have been possible. But it would also help when you're bubbling your Reinhardt, like that he knows when to take damage and he'll be prepared for it.
How they got that?
Yeah.
I'm tired, but I'm dead.
So telegraphed. That's 100% my fault.
Fucking brig blanked.
So Reinhardt was saying that it's 100% his fault that he let the shatter go through, but you're also able to block the shatter with your bubbles. So if you want to try and learn to bait that out as well, just you can try to do that, but it's always an option.
Score 0-2. Switching sides. Prepare to attack. Select your hero.
Let's run it back.
Goats
Spot
comp.
fishing through Reddit, Lucio.
I think.
So I'm just going to let this first attack play and see what you guys do with it.
You gotta be really quick on getting the tanks.
Yeah. Yeah, it's important that we either win or lose this first fight very quickly.
Alright.
If they have a fire, I think you just DM or alternate rockets and you try to keep her busy.
Yep.
And everybody else focuses the front
Sure
line.
you don't want to sit this one out, Reinhardt. Attack commences in 30 seconds. Show my preference to see matters
You're not
personally,
scared, are you?
but I will see them done.
You're not scared, are you?
I will break you.
Mace to the face.
Alright, let's go right side.
No game.
You're not
Then we
scared,
move in.
are you?
And we find the most immobile target. If the healer's out of position, we go on the.
5, 4, 3, objective A.
Hurry up about it.
There was Zarya.
I saw
Zarya no
Zarya's
person.
still- we can kill Zarya.
We can go on Zarya.
Oh
Go behind us now.
Just die, target up, target up.
Okay, so here, the biggest flaw is that you were not grouped up, really. You're all kind of grouped up, you're all kind of near each other,
Zarya no person.
but you see Lucio is just going straight in
We
there,
can go on Zarya.
and you're kind of being left in the back line, which is not your place. You need to be there to be shielding, to be bubbling your Reinhardt, to be bubbling yourself and taking some damage. And you almost get walled off by the Mei, and if Mei was any good, she would have walled you off completely. But what else happened here? Right, you just needed to coordinate a little bit more. For example, tell everybody that they need to gather. Telling everybody that they need to gather at this corner. Giving Lucio giving a quick countdown of speeding in. With Reinhardt shield up and you using your bubbles. Would have been ideal. Otherwise, when doing goats comp, I personally don't like to push on the right side. I like doing what the enemy team did, which was pushing on the left side. Because for me, I don't see much point if you're fighting them face on, but you're not on point. So it's much better to be facing them on point because you're either forcing them to fight you, or forcing them to walk away and let you have percentages of the point. Here, when you're pushing right side, they can either fight you or walk away for free, right? So if you had to push the left side and they were forced to walk away, they would be paying for walking away. Whereas here, they're not paying for anything. So we're going to see what your team does afterwards, real quick.
We can kill Zarya.
We can go on Zarya.
Just die, target up, target up.
Just get out. They have a Mayhew. We can speed boost past the wall.
Yep.
You wanna just
Everyone get out. Run.
So are we re-goating or...
Yeah. So we go through the wall. I'll use speed this time.
We gotta be really quick.
Alright. No
Stay
poke,
close
no
to
poke, no
Lucio.
poke. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
The wall.
Yeah.
Trying
Once
to
again, right click there. There were so many people together, clumped up. Right clicking would have been the best thing to do. Yeah, there you go. That's better.
Yeah, we should. Reset.
Yeah, I think we saw how it goes.
So the issue wasn't really goats, it was just how it was being played. For example, what I said about Lucio counting down before speed boosting, and then you just go straight to the point, that would have been ideal, but then you could have also done the same thing with your bubble, where you give a countdown to let Reinhardt know that you're about to bubble him, and then he goes in, right? So he doesn't just go in blindly, he goes in knowing he's going to have a bubble on him.
Yeah, I'll go for it.
We should go Mercy.
Get in there.
Alright.
Para reporting.
Melted Ice, you can go DPS too.
Clearing the
So
Yeah, Reaper's pretty good, I think. Soldier's fine.
Soldier's fine, yeah.
Okay.
Soldier's fine.
Soldier's fine, yeah.
I'm just gonna get a team comp up. It's way too fast. Ah, there we go. Alright. So real quick, let's see, they have... yeah, I don't really see anything wrong with the team comps. Like I said earlier, they all seem to be fine. Yeah, no, this is fine. That's fine.
I think Soldier's fine.
Soldier's fine.
Pressure the May with the fire.
Okay, I don't see her.
He's hiding for a wall somewhere.
So here what's good is that you're hitting those right clicks. But what you should be doing is you should be communicating with your Reinhardt like that. You bubble him, he drops his shield, he takes some damage, boom, you're at 20 to 40 energy, and then you're going to be doing a lot more damage. And then by the time you get into a fight, you should have your personal up again after like 7-8 seconds, however long it is. So just try to communicate more with your Reinhardt on that, because that's the beauty about the Reinhardt Zarya composition, is that they can use those bubbles very efficiently to give Zarya the charge that she needs.
Yep.
And then, as well, you should be right next to your Reinhardt, and when you're trying to get charge, just walk in front of his shield, pop bubble, and then walk back behind the shield, and that's an easy amount of charge as well, depending on what the enemies do in that situation.
Yeah, you all isolated. I'm healing you, with you.
Two shatter.
Mace one behind.
Lucio.
Where is he?
Right in the room, on his own.
Maybe
Rain's alone.
I got May. Can you get to me to heal?
We reset. They use grab and shatter. We have a grab coming up.
Ryan wasn't alone.
They use Visor.
Yeah, and
No,
tried to
he
stay
was
with
alone, he
the
charged in
team if
alone.
you can.
Tried to what?
You can heal. Try to stay with me instead.
So here, you're also going to be wanting to communicate with your Pharah about your ultimates and comboing them.
Of the team. Black Viking can heal.
And I hope you save your grab for
Alongside of you,
her
so I
barrage.
feel like-
This fight, we focus on this fight. They use Visor, they use Nano. They don't have any else. We can grab them whenever we have it.
I'll just one in the back.
We're down one.
I almost have the rush. Can you heal me?
I'm healing.
Maze right side.
No poke, don't give them ult charge. They don't have any else. Don't give them ult charge. They don't have any else.
Give me your best shot.
We ready?
Yeah, Mercy's here.
Oh, no.
There's a.
Res.
Okay, I
You
have
got now?
rush.
Sorry, I'm one. I need heals.
See, so like right there, Reinhardt should have been communicating with you that he was going to go in and take some poke, and then you would have bubbled him, but that didn't happen, and now he's pretty much out of the fight for the next 2 seconds or 3 seconds, wasting time, so try to communicate more with your Reinhardt.
Whenever you can.
So, you don't have Grav, I mean, you used Grav, oh, Okay, you did have barrage. When'd you get barrage?
We're up to.
Alright, well, Farah got barrage really quickly. Thankfully, she managed to get just one kill with it though. But imagine if you had waited for like, I don't know, another 20 seconds, and then she would have had her barrage to immediately ult into your Graviton Surge, and you would have gotten a team wipe easily. But you already have 2 picks, so you should hopefully win this fight. Let's see how it works out.
Rain one room, dead.
Lucio's one.
On a no nade. She's
Just cap point. Maze one on point, May after Cryo on point.
Oh shit, I'm playing some back lead. Alright, I have Shatter here.
Andy, you need to stick with the Pharaoh. I can heal the rest. I have Colossus too. He might be close to Shadow here. They don't have a graph for sure.
God damn this Facebook. Hold on a second.
Huge.
Huge.
We should go right now.
There we go.
I have Colossus.
I can't get
Okay,
here.
Main wall
Wall's
after
coming
this.
down. Get ready.
We're down
3,
Farah.
2, 1, go. Maze right. Maze right.
Maze one.
May after Cryo, we can kill May after Cryo.
Oh, shit.
Ground.
We're up on. Zarya slow, Zarya one, dead.
One.
So right now you should be telling your Reinhardt to get in there with bubble.
We
Yeah.
should go now.
Where are you? That's...
right side.
Okay, I can't see you.
Heal fire.
Right there, it would have been good to keep damaging the enemy shield because you're at such a high level of energy that you'd be able to tear right through it. And I don't know when Shatter is coming up, but I think your Shatter is going to be soon. So if you manage to destroy the enemy's shield, then that's a perfect timing for the Shatter.
Heal fire above.
I don't know how that didn't hit you, but whatever.
Let's get up. We have another grab barrage. We have 3 ults. They use Visor, they use
Yeah,
Beat.
we're very close to 4 volts.
I shouldn't have tried.
Oh, wait, I think you just used Shatter earlier that fight.
Not ready. Tango down.
We are
Jack,
here.
we can
We are all
be
here.
fine.
We are all here.
Yeah, I'm trying to pick the wall. I'm trying to pick the wall.
Alright, watch out. Zarya.
Maze one.
Maze one.
Mace down.
Reset, no ults.
Do we switch off? It's fair. They don't
Sorry.
Yeah, you guys should reset.
Combo.
Oh, that's so close.
No, we played
But like right
Viking.
there as well, if you were just shooting bombs at her feet, you might have been able to deal more damage than with your tracking.
Let's go top right. Let's stop trying to go main. Let's go top right.
Okay.
Yeah, we just need to get this.
I'm not saying like that's the surefire way to win that kind of thing. I'm just saying it's something to consider.
They're gonna have a graph too. And
So
we are
try that
fire.
out in a custom game.
Going top right.
Take the elevator, yeah.
Wait, I'm not with you yet.
Maze up top.
Maze up.
Main wall.
Yeah.
She's have to. We can just go main now. She used the wall.
Gets our soldier on high ground.
Alright, whenever we can grab, run over.
Zarya's behind us.
Zarya's behind us, she's looking for a grab,
Right now you should be bubbling your Reinhardt.
I died.
I got her.
At least you had the combo this time.
Zarya's left side, Zarya. Zarya's behind, she's one, dead.
She's down.
Just soldier point.
Nice tracking.
Watch your shadow when they come on, 3 point.
Yeah, 3 points. Yeah, 3.
He has
That was a
shadow.
good use of your bubble.
He has shadow. Reset.
Down 2.
Yeah, we gotta take.
I'm down.
You could have gone 2 ticks.
60 seconds.
Might as well sleep.
Just like in training. Enemy seen.
Let's go top right again.
Main
Main
trap.
Cryo.
Yeah, kill her. She's close.
Your support has arrived.
They're gonna have a grab here. And I started.
No, they use grab. They use
Where's
grab.
soldier? Where's soldier?
Maybe
Oh,
left.
shoot.
Oh yeah, there is grab, there is grab.
Soldier. Get the mech.
Dead, dead.
Nice pick.
Alright, push.
Watch your shadow, watch your shadow, watch your shadow.
30 seconds.
Oh, they use shadow too. Rain. Yes, beat.
Soldier looking behind.
So right now you should be staying behind a shield. When soldier pops his visor, your Reinhardt should immediately be putting up his shield, and everyone's behind it pretty much, or at least those are that are susceptible to dying.
Can we touch?
So once again, I want to emphasize that I have very little issues with your actual team comp. So, and I don't really know the difference of skill between your team and the enemy team. I'm going to assume that you're pretty much equal. So the issue is not the team comp. It's not really the communication either, though it could be a little bit clearer, and sometime though it could be a little bit clearer. But other than that, there are a lot of very good points that are being made in team comp with tracking ultimates and talking about who to focus. Except that you might want to discuss who is actually important to focus before the fight starts. So before you go in, you look at their team comp, you say, okay, they have this hero and this hero. I think that these two heroes dying would easily win us the fight, right? Like if you know the enemy Reinhardt has a shatter, and you know that he's really good at landing those shatters, you might say, let's just push him and try to get him out of the fight immediately, right, in order to get that shatter off the board. Typically, though, you want to be aiming for anyone who's out of position. Like a lot of times, like last time when the enemy soldier popped his visor, you were out of position because you were way too forwards and you were not behind the shield with your team. So they capitalized on your bad positioning in order to win the fight. So it's your job to be capitalizing on their bad positioning, like you did with the Mei right before that fight started. So sometimes I see that you're trying to make plays happen a lot. You're trying to get in there, you're trying to make stuff happen and trying to win the fight. However, at this rank, because I'm assuming everyone around here is about high plat, at this rank I feel like you don't even have to make the plays. You just have to wait for the enemy to make a mistake and then capitalize on that. Alright? Because people in this rank are going to be greedy all the time, just like that Mei earlier, and probably some other examples that I just can't remember off the top of my head right now. But you have to identify when someone is out of position, identify when someone makes a mistake, and just jump on that person and kill them. So I hope this was at least a little bit useful. I was looking more to coach you in one of your solo queue games, but they all seem to be in quick play, so I decided to go for the pug instead. So I hope it was useful, and I hope your team managed to succeed eventually. See ya.